Morning.
Morning all. And dear viewer, it's Lent. And those of you who went and had your ash cross daubed on your forehead yesterday will know that. And so we're reading from Matthew chapter 4, verses 1 to 11. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy place, to the holy city, and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to them, "All these I will give you if you fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him.
I always love that verse. Jesus fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and he was hungry.
A very familiar passage there, Div. I'm sure you've heard it many times. But you know, although I've read it many times, Chris, I've never really picked up on the importance of that one verse. He was famished. He was hungry. Yeah,
I just think it's the ministry of stating the obvious.
Yeah.
Or in line to be the biggest understatement in the Bible.
Yeah. And he was famished. He was hungry.
So at the end, I thought you were going to say, I've always loved that verse. Suddenly angels came and waited on him. That was the verse I thought you were going to say.
It's again, it's an unusual word. I mean, I haven't looked up other interpretations of that passage, but angels came and waited on him. There we are. Good old angels.
Do you think that meant he had a good meal?
Silver service for Jesus. How about that for a phrase?
Yeah. That could appear in the Sun, couldn't it? Or one of these other papers, you know. Jesus has silver service after 40 days of fasting. Well, what do you say about all of that?
It's nothing. That would be nothing less than Jesus deserves after the end of 40 days and dying on a cross.
Yeah. Preparing to die on a cross at this point, of course.
Preparing his ministry as well.
Yeah. I mean, this devil character is very interesting, isn't he? Who is the devil? What is the devil?
Could the devil actually be any sense of ego? I need stuff, material stuff. I need to be able to, perform magic. I need power and greatness. All that ego that needs to die.
Now, I'd seem to put it in a bit of a bigger category of anything that distracts us from God, of which ego fits completely in that, doesn't it?
And of course, we're all, if we're not careful, so very carefully distracted, aren't we?
Yes. In
many different ways.
And actually, Chris, what you were saying about the bigger category is interesting because yesterday, when we were having our Ash Wednesday services, we were exploring whether this is all about Lent is about personal practice and personal relationship with God, which it certainly is, or whether, particularly in the context of Ash Wednesday, going around with an ash on your forehead, public witness, so that that sense of whether it's a bigger distraction from God, the context, the category is, general distraction from God, or whether it's personal, about ego. I think that's quite interesting in the context of going into the wilderness, and Lent being a wilderness experience and being quite a solitary experience about your relationship with God, but always that's in the context of coming out of the wilderness and being in the world, and that any time spent with God in the wilderness is to equip you for the world, for life in the world. There's a bigger context.
I mean, this whole story is based on is based around the theme of temptation, though, isn't it? Really, the devil, this person, this thing, is very much trying to get Jesus to do things that he shouldn't. That he's trying to just tempt him to do things, and Jesus' constant answer is, "I don't need to do this. I can do it if I want to, but I don't need to do it because I know that God will protect me and look after me."
But the tempting is, if you like, that he's tempted in the wilderness, but these are temptations that we have in the world. So actually learning how to deal with these temptations in the wilderness is incredibly important for Jesus, for when he's in his ministry and in the world. And ditto for us.
Yes.
Well, so much of our learning comes through our hard times, doesn't it? You don't develop character when life is easy. You develop character when you're going through it and it gets tough. Here we got stripped down, 40 days, 40 nights, Jesus was hungry. What does the devil come along and say? Here, have some bread. Or make yourself some bread. Show off. He doesn't say, 40 days, 40 nights, you're hungry. Why don't you knit yourself a new jumper? It's, now you're hungry, have some bread. It's the thing that he thinks can get to Jesus. And I'm always fascinated on how did Jesus know his scriptures so well? As in, I think there's a great debate, isn't it? Was it inherent in him because he was God, so he just knew it? Or actually, as a child, was he disciplined to spend all that time in the temple, like he did when he abandoned his parents, and that he studied and he had really good teachers? Because we don't hear of anything that, he was taught by scholar X or Y.
I mean, we hear from other stories, of course, that he obviously was known and had studied, because they referred to him occasionally as rabbi, didn't they?
They did.
So he obviously had been a scholar of some sort, and that's always for me I'm trying to find the right word. The bit I find absolutely fascinating. We know really and truthfully, until those last two years and the birth of Jesus, we know nothing about him whatsoever, do we?
No.
It's all surmising. He did know his scripture. They called him rabbi, so I'm already saying that means he must have done something. But that's surmising. And I like your point, Chris. Was it because he was God that he knew scripture? I think that's a really fascinating point, question to ask.
But there's also the modelling that Jesus is doing, the sitting at the feet of the learned rabbis that he himself did. That's the model. That's the Jewish tradition into which he was born. But also that's the model for us, learning our scriptures, being equipped with our scriptures for such a time as this when we're tempted.
Yeah, of course, because we don't. The sitting at the feet was very important because there was no, as far as we're aware, no rabbi college like we all were sent off to learn and to do. And so the sitting, the modelling, it was vitally important and fascinating that suddenly from nowhere we start to go into these stories of what is a very short part of Jesus's life, isn't it?
And going back to Chris's point about, Jesus being God and whether he knew all this stuff anyway, or whether he had to sit and learn it. It's interesting. There's a bit of a clue in this passage at the very beginning. Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. So there's this sense of this experience not just being a template for us and a reflection, of course, of the experience of the Israelites, for the 40 years in the wilderness, that transformative experience for them. But that there's possibly a sense that actually, yes, it was important that Jesus himself was led into the wilderness, that he went through this transformative experience. And that's interesting. If Jesus is God and God is unchangeable, unchanging, possibly, how does that sit with that? It's interesting that by becoming human, naturally, there's transformation in human life, isn't there, all the time? So
but you've also got this very interesting and complex idea that God, of the Trinity, almost, haven't you? You've got God involved, you've got Jesus involved, you've got the Spirit involved, all one and three, equal and the same, etc., etc. And here is God leading God into the wilderness.
Exactly.
It's
to commune with God.
To commune with God, to commune with himself. It's a very complex understanding, and off he goes. But underneath it all, as the son to the father relationship, he has no doubt that whatever he's going to go through, the father is going to look after him and protect him, and probably, and I would suggest the Spirit as well. So another interesting idea for Sunday, Chris. What are we going to say on Sunday about all of this?
Oh, I shall probably start, but like I do every time with this one, about that fact that Jesus was hungry.
Yeah.
Which is very good, very earthy, very human.
But yeah, I mean, like you say, Lent's begun, a gentle walk for 40 days of reflecting on ourselves.
Yeah.
Gentle. That's interesting. That Lent was gentle. Sometimes it is.
There's a starkness to Lent, but it's 40 days long.
Yeah.
It's also gentle.
Pace yourself.
Yeah. I mean, it's, we are brought up with the reality of who we are. We are made aware of all the things we do get wrong. That's the whole point of Lent. But, I'm sure that we will all get an email from Bishop Karen at some point in the next few days about being gentle with ourselves and taking time to reflect and prepare for Easter ourselves, rather than rushing around and being busy all the time.
But that's different to the Lenten message. I mean, it's certainly not about being busy. It's the opposite, isn't it? It's taking time to be with God.
Well, that's the email we'll get from Karen, reminding us to spend time with God rather than just being busy all the time. And that's the bit about being gentle, is because time in God's presence is always relatively gentle.
Have you got retreats planned?
I'm away next Wednesday, Thursday with the cell group that I formed when I was training at college some 12, 13 years ago, whenever it was.
What about you, David?
No, I haven't got any retreat plans. It's difficult in many ways. But I have set myself a target for something I did many years ago, and I've written about it in our March edition of the Team News. that I'm going to over this period. I'm going to try and read every day one of the gospel narratives of the Passion, and spend some time just quietly being as a new, not new, but as a way of trying to, center myself on all that we've got to do. Because despite trying to be good and calm and steady and whatever, we know that the funerals will still come in, and the services have still got to be prepared for, and meetings have got to be held, and the school will be back again next week. So that, and on it'll go. It's how do you try and fit that into a time of being and waiting. And I'm also going to read a book, I've said, which I bought years ago and never got around to reading, typical of most clergy. We've all got books on our study shelf, haven't we? We've never read. And I bought this some years ago called Sabbath,
super.
The hidden heartbeat of our lives, which I bought to read. And I read the introduction, and that was it. So I'm going to later today try to read through some of that. Have you ever read it, Kelly?
Yes, I have, and it's lovely. It's really, really excellent. Yeah, I dug into Sabbath stuff when I had a bit of time in my curacy, and it's beautiful. And I love the poetry of Wendell Berry as well. And that I seem to remember that book is really good about spending time in nature, actually.
That's right. That's part of it. Yeah. For me, what is interesting is the author, the lady Nicholas Lee. It's very much coming from a feminist role about it all as well, which will be interesting, because I don't think as men we immerse ourselves enough in trying to understand where others come from if we're not careful.
Hey, listeners, you heard that from David. Excellent.
Well, I think it's true. I don't think either groups of us try to understand each other enough. And it's easily done. And that's not criticism. It's easily done.
And also many other aspects. I have a really good friend I trained with who's black, and the struggles that he's been through. It's sad to hear and eye-opener to hear. And
of course, there's so many other groups on there today that we just dismiss, or we I can't say we ignore, but I mean, we think of people from the LGBTQ plus community, or people who are disabled, or the elderly, or And as I ever grow up more and more older, as we all do each day, let's be honest, we all grow a day older every day, of course. But as I start to realise that old age isn't all it's all made up to be. It's interesting. How do we understand each other?
And the voice of the young.
Yes, all of them. Yeah, and how do you understand all of that and to put it all together? Perhaps that's what Jesus was doing part of the time in the wilderness, trying to come to terms with, everybody and everything. After all, he was preparing to give his life for us all and for the world, wasn't he? There we are. So you're off next week, Chris, so we won't be meeting.
Yeah,
I guess. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, dear viewer. And perhaps we've given you enough thought. You can always watch, as Chris says before, back editions of the 200 and whatever it is, 90 editions of Rev Chav that we've done in so far, and have a look. But you may want to look at this one again and just think for yourself, what are you doing as part of a personal Lenten preparation? We often talk, don't we, about keeping a holy Lent, making Lent special. So there we are. Well, good to be with you all. Thanks so much indeed. That'll please Bishop Karen, because we've kept it down to a fairly short time and not waffled either, I don't think, today.
Well, we didn't have any chatter at the beginning, did we? We hit the record button and you went straight for the reading.
I did, because it's Lent,
You got a busy day.
It's all, well, I could have or I couldn't have, you'll never know. It's all about discipline, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
When the buttons hit, go for it. Go for it. Well, I have got a fairly busy bits and pieces busy now. I've got an appointment early on this morning at the surgery again as ever, and then I'm burying some ashes at Blackdown later on today at lunchtime. And then I've got a very important meeting, supper meeting with somebody about 6:30, haven't I, Chris?
Have you? Yes.
We're going to try the delights. We're going to try the delights the viewer of the local curry house in Beaminster. It's something we've been trying to do for a long time because my wife thinks I don't have any friends, and it would be good if I went out with Chris.
Oh, so I'm letting him think I'm his friend.
Exactly. We're practicing. I'm trying to find out what friends are. She could be true. Who'd want to be friends with me? Only other umpires, I guess, because we're a boring lot, really. There we are. Because none of the players like us.
Oh.
So there we are. Particularly if you've given somebody out early on in their game. No, not good.
So if anybody turns up at the curry house in the curry restaurant in Beaminster tonight and finds two old chaps chewing the cud and putting the world to rights, I'm sure they'll be able to join in the conversation.
I'm glad you referred to Chris as old as well, because you whippersnappers, Carrie, you've got to be careful. It'll come to you in time. As my mother used to say, it'll come to you too, and it does.
Absolutely.
Well, I was going to say that if you do see us in there, you could come and buy us a beer.
Well, you'd have a problem. You'd have a problem, Chris, because they only sell alcohol-free beer because they don't have to have a license. So if you want real beer, you got to bring it with you. There we are. Right. Well, there we are. Right. Good to see you. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time, and we'll tell you how we're getting on with our Lenten discipline and all the things we've written about and said we're going to try and do. And hopefully I'll be a couple of chapters into the book by then. As well as the Lent course. You can join us. Chris and I are co-hosting a kind of Deanery Lent course for those who can't get to their own courses. And it's based on the Church of England's material this year called Draw Near, Life-Giving Habits for Lent. There we are. That's the resources package I've taken off. And if you want a copy of the book, you can buy them online through the Church of England or any other bookshop, I guess. Or you can pop into the team office if you're around Beaminster, because we've got some there you can buy. They only cost £2.50. Dirt cheap.
Very good.
As opposed to the usual Lent books we're trying to tout, which probably cost £10, £12, £15 a go. Daily reflections. And sometimes a short daily reflection is good. And we're gonna try and share with people all about that.
Good. And we're immersing ourselves in John's Gospel. We're meeting God in John. We've got ecumenical Lent lunches on Fridays, which is good. And we've got a couple of meditations on the 1st and the 15th of March in St. Swithin's that will be meditations with lunch. We'll bring your own lunch, but there'll also be soup. And then an artistic response to what we've heard.
Yeah, if you live around our area, even if you don't and you want to follow what we're doing, just go onto any of our team websites, Bridport, Beaminster, Exeter and Coleman, Bride Valley, Golden Cap. We're all doing various things, and I'm sure you can join in through the online offer as well. So
the other thing I wanted to mention was we've got the lovely Stations of the Cross, Bridport Stations of the Cross paintings.
Oh, they're back up again, are they?
Contemporary paintings. They're going to be up in Holy Week in St. John's.
Good. We did do a couple when the first year they came out and were on all around Bridport. We did do a deanery walk through, didn't we, Chris?
That was before I got here.
Was it before you got here?
So long ago.
We did a deanery walk through. We spent a whole afternoon. People collected from across the deanery, and we walked round it with I think Pete Stone, your predecessor, Kelly. He took us round and through it, and it was wonderful. So again, if you're down at St. John's, or you can get to St. John's in West Bay, the wonderful paintings of the Stations of the Cross done by local artists at Bridport will be there. You can go and share for yourself.
Lovely. Brilliant.
Excellent. Righto, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. And that means that next Thursday morning I can spend an extra half an hour reading my book.
Brilliant.
Okay.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.